Athlete Builder back at it. Mary Tyson Lappen. That's our lady for today. So my guy Lucas and Jim, we're running the show. I'm in the library. We're just going to start off with shout outs and a weird introduction. So first, shout out Mary for being here. Shout out Jocko Fuel for keeping me hydrated. Shout out Iron Pit Gym. I've never even been there, but we have friends there, and they're kind of like home for Mary right now down in Bloomington. So Team Ballard, Jen and I, we love Alex and her dad. They've been up here for Highland Games. Shout out Dan Brown, one of our prior guys on the show, for introducing us with Mary. Shout out Dr. Riley, another thrower who's down south, big dude who loves to lift. So a lot of things coming together to bring us, swear to God, an Olympian. And let me just go over this ridiculous resume. Took fifth at the Paris Olympics. She's in weightlifting, so that's snatch and clean and jerk. All-time best snatch, 120, which in pounds is 264. Clean and jerk, 163 pounds is 358. Most men on the planet can't deadlift 358. National champ in D2 and throwing. 9-time All-American. From Wisconsin. Went to a small school, then Indiana State for undergraduate. Ended up with a master's from the University of Missouri. So shout out Pat Ivy and Dr. Como, who've been on the show from Missouri. Been all over the world. And just in 2023 alone, Colombia, Argentina, Cuba, Saudi Arabia, Chile, Qatar. Dang. So think about Dr. Rye when we had him on. He said he just loves controlled chaos. That's why he likes the Olympic lifts. He likes throwing. It's controlled chaos. How close can you get to that edge of power and still maintain it and hold on? So now we have someone who's a thrower in college, living that same life, clearly very twitchy, can move a lot of weight. So we got Mary Tyson Lappen on the show. Mary, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Man, so I'm not sure where to go first. There's so many things to talk about. I'm sure you were doing Olympic lifts when you were throwing, so there must have been some carryover there. But you didn't start until really getting serious about it until age 28,
Yeah,
which is kind of dinosaur times for a lot of
it's
weightlifters, right?
yeah,
And you just came up through the ranks, American Open, and our guy Lucas is competing at the Arnold in weightlifting, and now we got you. You made it all the way to Paris, and we rescheduled from yesterday. You had team dinner, which
yep,
tells me, hey, she's still with the team, so she's looking to compete at Worlds and then maybe the Olympics again.
yep.
So she hasn't hung up her weightlifting shoes yet. She's still in the fight.
I'm doing the Arnold too.
She's doing the Arnold too.
Yeah,
Well, shit, this is
yeah,
great. So, how do you do that year to year? Decide do I keep going or not? How's that going?
yeah. Well, it was a pretty easy, timeline for this one, just because the Paris Olympics was kind of the goal, and that's like it goes 4 years. Like weightlifters at the top will probably train in a quad, they'll call it, so 4 year time. And so that was a very easy timeline for me. The timeline after that is the one I'm kind of trying to navigate, trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out. And I'm kind of joking and calling them like semesters and going like 6 months at a time. And so I'm kind of trying to just decide. So this year, I'll be 35 this year. So technically, I'm like a master in weightlifting. So basically, I'm very fully committed to competing as hard as I can and training as hard as I can this year. And then I want to kind of decide and see how I feel after Worlds. Our World Championship this year is in October in Norway. So I'd really like to go to Norway and like try to hit some really big numbers with no pressure, because in reality, like the qualification for the Olympics was a lot of pressure, and it's not something I can't handle. I like pressure, but competing every like 8 weeks when you're traveling the world, like I never felt good. So I just want to like take this year to feel good, to have no pressure, to have a good time again in a sport that has really given me a lot. And then after this year, kind of like reassess. So, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I make enough money to live on with weightlifting. I coach weightlifting, and so I mean, I even carry insurance through weightlifting through USOPC. So it's like it's not as easy for me to just decide to be done, but I'm to the point now where I can kind of like think about it, like maybe have a developed plan and kind of see like, okay, by this timeline I should know about this or this and this. And so a lot of intertwined and like things connected to each other. But right now I'm all in for 2025, and then I say maybe, I don't know if I'll be done, but my husband and coach said that I'll probably not be done. So we'll see. We'll see if that's true. We'll see.
Well, Lucas and I were just talking talking about momentum being a thing in sport, and you can see it over the course of a game, and you can
Yeah.
see it over the course of a season, and your coaches can probably see it over the course of a year. As you're if you're still building and having fun,
Hmm.
and they're probably like, well, it's not broken, keep going, So if it's in the financial world, when I was trading stocks, when we're deciding to get in and out of the stocks, and we're trying to make a decision, the portfolio manager would ask me, well, what do you need to see to make this decision?
Yeah.
So then I would just ask you, as an athlete, do you and your coach have a set of criteria that's going to dictate if I see these things, if I feel these things, if I know these things, is that going to make a decision? For me, when I was doing strongman, but just at an amateur level, well, I had a lot of things told to me: blood clot, right, slip disc, broken foot, torn
Yeah.
ligaments, all in the span of 6 months. You get kind of told. Outside of that, foot on the gas, keep going.
Right. Right.
For me. So do you have any kind of criteria listed out already, or not so much yet?
I mean, we've definitely talked about it. So after the Olympics, I kind of came off this like, I mean, it was a huge thing I worked for, and so people talk about like the post Olympics depression, and I was like, it's not gonna hit me, and it definitely did. It's just you work for something so hard and for so long, and I've competed, like we talked about, a lot, a lot in different sports and high levels in different sports, but nothing quite feels like that. And so basically we had a meeting, my coach and I, after the Olympics, maybe a month after, kind of let things settle and just kind of talked about a plan. And I took about 6 weeks off from training after, so I felt really good. And honestly, right now, I feel the best I have in years, like physically. So that's kind of where we're at is, are you like, when are you going to stop feeling good? When are you going to stop getting stronger? And I'm hitting like in my squats and in some other lifts, like I'm the strongest I've ever been right now. And so it's like, it's hard to really consider being done anytime soon unless I take like a sharp turn.
Mm.
But, we actually, so after the Olympics, we even backed off on training. So, like I said, I took some time completely off where I just pretty much hung out in the gym, did some cardio, did some like biking, things like that. And then when I came back to training, I cut 3 sessions a week out. So basically, we decided like you're older, like your body, it's not that you can't handle things, but right now, like rest and recovery is very much more important than if you're 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that's why I feel so much better. So, my coach is really good at kind of, communicating with me in a good way for me to not feel like he doesn't think I can do something and saying, like, you can't train this much anymore. Like, it's because you're too old. Like, he frames it in a way where I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, that makes sense. And I feel so much better just with a little bit more recovery by I used to take Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings, I trained as well. And now I wiped out all mornings. I only train in the afternoon, 5 days a week, and I feel really good. So I think that's the main thing is just, I have overuse, say, like, not necessarily injuries, but I've used my body for a lot of things in my life. So I'm gonna have things that eventually, like a car, a wear and tear. But if I continue just communicating those things, those feelings with my coach, which with my body work people, I have really good PT, a really good massage therapist. Like they've done, I mean, they literally deserve so much credit for how like what I've done because they're literally like on speed dial for me.
Mm.
Um, but I think that's the main thing for me is how does my body feel? Is it adding to my life versus like there was definitely a few months, probably like almost even a year of working up to the Olympics where it was not making my life better. Like the training, the travel, the stress, the emotions, like things like that. But I knew it was just like the digging deep part. Once I got through that, I'd be okay. So, I've learned a lot through that process, and now I'm kind of like just realizing I'm talented. I have a very cool life to be able to do this as my job right now. So I'm trying to just soak it in as long as it'll last. I'm fully aware it's not going to last forever, and just trying to have a little bit more fun with it because I know people are like, you're not always going to love your job, and I agree with that, but I am very lucky that my job is, like, probably a little bit more fun than a lot of people's jobs? So, I'm trying to soak that in and enjoy the good parts and not dwell on the bad, and as that starts to flip, I always promised myself in track when I was still throwing that as soon as I knew I was done with track, and as soon as I basically started, like, basing my self-worth on how I was throwing and things like that, like, I finished track at a high level, but I knew when I was done, and I had no regrets that I should have kept doing it. Like, I really felt like I, like, squeezed as much as I could out, and I trust myself enough that I'll get to that point with weightlifting as well. So, I'm just trying to soak it all in while I can, and then when it's over, it'll be over, and I trust myself enough to, like, really feel that out. So, we'll see. We'll see when that is, I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
Um, so I'm just curious about what it's like to go from, obviously when you first started training and getting into Olympic lifting, did you see yourself being an Olympian?
I mean, I definitely because, like I said, I competed at a pretty high level in track, and part of my decision with not going on after I competed in track was that I did not think that I could go to the Olympics in it, and I didn't wanna put my life on hold. I didn't wanna not have any money. I didn't wanna not have a plan. I didn't wanna, like, not use my degree. Like, I was like I was 2 years out from the 2016 Olympics, so I would've had 2 years basically in limbo, trying to figure out how am I gonna pay my bills while I'm trying to be not a college athlete. So, that was the big reason why I stopped with track. So, I do believe when I picked up weightlifting that there was a little part of me that was like, if I really didn't think I had a chance of being an Olympian, I don't think I would have committed to it. Just because I was older and, like, I don't think you should not do something because you can't go to the Olympics because the percentage of people that go to the Olympics is so small.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I just am, like, so competitive and, like, I really was very strong in track, and like we talked about, there is a lot of carryover, but I I should have probably thrown farther for how strong I was, to be honest. So I knew when I started weightlifting and when I truly committed to it that I had potential to do something special in the sport. I just knew I'd have to find, like, a great coach and, like, find my rhythm, like, while I was still working, especially because I was working full time and I actually went back to school full time during all of my beginning of weightlifting. So I kinda had to, like, find my rhythm and find, like, where I could prioritize everything. But I for sure think that when I first started, there was a part of me that was like, maybe you weren't supposed to go to the Olympics in track. Maybe there's a small chance you could go to it in something else. So, I definitely think probably.
So part of the reason why I asked that is because when does the mindset kind of switch from training? Because, for example, for me, I like to Olympic lift just because I like to snatch and clean and
Yeah.
jerk, and I like that style of training, and it's fun for me. And I look forward to doing the Arnold, and then I'll do some local meets, and I'll do the Arnold again, and it's just a fun way for me to train. It's I don't have any other goals outside of hitting the best and
Yeah.
biggest numbers I could hit. Um, so my mindset's probably not the same as someone that's training for the Olympics. So what's that like going from uh, casual or amateur training
Yeah.
mindset to I'm training to be an Olympian? When did you see that switch and when did it happen? What was that like?
So I think it starts the same, honestly. Like I think people that start with, say, a goal or like a mindset that's too because not everybody can, like I said, start and be like, I want to go to the Olympics, and like because even for me when I first started, I was terrible at snatching. Like I was just not good at it. We didn't snatch in college, so I had no experience. So I was super good at cleaning right away and I was really good at squatting and things like that. But like I had to have a coach at first and like people surrounded that I surrounded myself around that were like, this is not going to be a fast thing. Like, and I'm not a patient person. So like I think everybody starts the sport with the same goals. And as you kind of navigate and figure that stuff out, like obviously like the people that kind of eventually get better and they're winning nationals, they're making international teams, like that's kind of when I started thinking like, okay, my mindset might need to shift a little bit. But for the most part, honestly, I don't think it's that different because like I focus on the same things everyone else does. Like I have to like keep the bar close. I have to work on my start. I have to keep, you know, like little things that everybody works on. I was just like, I mean, to be completely honest, like I was just blessed with like good genetics and good strength. So like I think that the mindset really is very similar. I think it's just eventually you have to like because I do want to lift heavy all the time. Like, for the most part. There's times I don't want to. But for the most part, we all want to lift heavy all the time, or we couldn't do this sport. It's too hard. But I think the shift, maybe if there is one, would be more so like, I need to dial this back. I have to work on this technical thing, or I'm never going to improve my weight. So I think maybe that's the difference, if there is one, is dialing back, thinking about things as, that I know it's cliche, but thinking about things like a marathon, not a sprint. Like, and I think a lot of times the lifters that we are only doing the Arnold are more so like, I want to do as much as I can right this second. And if you're trying to like do something that's 4 years from now, you have to back up and like really think, I can't do this right now because I have to focus on this technical thing, or I'm not going to hit the numbers that I need to hit for this meet. And then that if I don't make the team for this meet, then I can't go to this one, and then I can't make the team for the Olympics. So it's like different check marks. I always talked about that with my athletes at track too. Like thinking about my plan as an athlete as like a checklist, and making sure that I check the first thing off before I go to the next. And I think maybe that's where there's a difference in, like, I guess, trying to go to the Olympics or not, is just, making sure that checklist is in the right order, instead of like trying to hit a PR clean and jerk 17 times when in reality you have to hit a heavy clean and jerk in a month, you know? So kind of just like bringing yourself back down and realizing the priorities at that time.
And your coach was it Will Fleming?
Yes.
Okay. Having a
Yep.
good coach, I mean, I think for the
Yeah.
most part, everybody in strength sports probably knows who Will Fleming is.
Yeah.
He's
He's
kind
he's
of
been around in track and field and strength sports and weightlifting for quite a while now.
a big deal. And he's kind of up there in age, isn't he? And
Yeah.
he's still moving things pretty well.
So he used to lift. He actually, I felt bad the other day. He goes, I really haven't lifted heavy since you joined the team. I was like, sorry, because like we're gone so much the last few years. So it's like, and he has kids that are in sports now, so he doesn't lift too much anymore. He'll randomly just like go in the gym and do something silly, like I mean silly, like he shouldn't be as strong as he is anymore, but his technique, and he's done it so long, it's like, you get that movement pattern in, and all of a sudden you can just do it in your sleep.
Yeah.
So he doesn't lift much anymore, but he was really, really good at the level he was at until, like I said, basically when I started.
Perfect.
A lot of things there you pointed out that were impressive. One of the things we say is that it's not how hard can you train, it's how hard can you train, recover, and train hard again. So doing 2-a-days, 3 days a week is challenging. The reason the Bulgarian method doesn't work long term is because they're lifting 3 times a day and they're strong as hell quickly and powerful quickly, but the longevity is gone. And you're talking about a long-term approach here. So you'll see that whether it's in powerlifting or track or football or CrossFit or in weightlifting, where people just want to keep hitting the PR and get better and better all the time. And whether you're an athlete or a person or you have a relationship or you have a business, the technical term is limiting factor, right? So at some point, there's a limiting factor, whether it's your mindset, your knowledge of your sport and how you're doing it, or how you work with people, or it's your physical training, your recovery, or your nutrition, right? So that's the 6 things we talk about. And long term, if you keep trying to build in one area and neglecting one of those check boxes that you said, that limiting factor, at some point, you can only go so far.
Right.
You can keep it stronger and stronger and stronger. That's fine. But without the technical piece to it, you're limited.
Right.
And you're taking the approach where you can only go to that next entire level when you get all 6 of those check marks in those 6 areas done. Then you can advance and do it safely, because to do it long term, putting 365 pounds over your head, there's risk.
Yeah.
And putting 500 on your back and squatting, there's risk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you start cutting corners, well, there's a risk return ratio there, right? And an increased risk or unnecessary risk. The next thing, talking about injury, and that injury could be torn ACL, torn shoulder, torn labrum, etc. So being disciplined there, shout out Jocko, gives you the freedom to keep progressing.
Right.
And you take away the discipline, then your freedoms to continue to progress will be limited because of that limiting factor. So that's outstanding, because a lot of people are just like, man, fuck it, let's just go. Throw another weight on. I want to move big weight. And next thing you know, it's over. And they're like, well, this sucks, man. I can't believe I got hurt. I got a bad coach. Okay. Hold on, right?
99% of the time, it's not the coach.
Right. One of the things you noted here on this, on the prep work, is I worked really hard to believe in myself, even when coaches I had didn't. And that's coming from a national champ, 9-time All American, uh, Pan Am Games, right? Gold medalists, silver at Worlds. Like
Yeah.
you've just simply been a winner everywhere. So at what point are these coaches thinking she's not a winner? Like when
Yeah.
were you not winning, right?
Yeah.
So
So
what happened there?
yeah, so basically I actually just did not a podcast, but like I did a kind of a workshop talk thing with Lululemon with their like inclusivity like group, I guess.
Hmm.
And I talked a lot about this, so it was cool. I basically, as a kid, this all started when I was a kid, right? So I grow up. I'm from. My dad's a big guy. Like I'm. My mom's not too. My mom's actually really tiny, but she's like a fast athlete. You know, my dad was a strong football guy. So I grew up. I was a big kid, you know, and so I think especially when I was a kid. So I mean, honestly, 30 years ago, when I was in kindergarten, probably about that time, like I get very overlooked as an athlete because I'm just like a chubby kid. And it's like, oh, she doesn't know anything. And I started sports a little late. Like I say late, like maybe second, third, fourth grade. Like whereas kids start so early now. So I spent all of middle school with no coach giving me the time of day.
Mm.
And I saw that then with my sisters. Like I'm the oldest of four girls. Like my sisters struggled with the same things too. Like we're just big people, you know. My dad's a big guy. I'm a big girl. And my shoulders are broad. I'm heavier than most people. Went to a small private high school. I was probably the biggest person in my whole school, boys or girls. And so it took really until my freshman year of high school, and I had a track coach that was like, what? Like, how are you not, like better at this stuff? And I was the only girl on the basketball team my freshman year to make varsity. Like, so I finally started as I was getting older to like have coaches that kind of believed in me. And I think back, and then even in high school, like basketball is I loved basketball, but I never had a good basketball coach. And then, like I said, that track coach I had my freshman year was amazing. He actually was retired. He coached football, or I guess wrestling, because we didn't have girls wrestling back then, and boys track at a really big high school. He retired, and then his wife was like, You cannot be in the house anymore. You need to get a job." So he coached my high school in track, and we had barely any athletes, and I just basically our paths crossed, and I still to this day when I go home, like, I mean, I'm almost 20 years out of high school, like I'm I'll stop at his house, we'll stop for Christmas, we'll stop and do lawn work. Like he's almost 80 now, so I always joke I have to stop and thank him to make sure that he knows that he paid for my college, you know. He didn't really, but like he got me scholarship. So but it was until him that I really had coaches that believed in me. And in college it was different. I had coaches that believed in me, obviously, but I think of those coaches when I was young. That kind of that's a really really important age, you know,
Mm.
that elementary and middle school age is like a really really hard age, especially as a big girl, you know. I don't think it's easy for anybody, but as like a big chubby girl, like it's just not fun. And I think back on some of those coaches, and I'm not like a spiteful person. I feel like I'm a pretty nice person and things like that. But I'll be honest. Like there's times when if I could see those coaches, I could be like I hope you like give everyone an opportunity, you know, because it's like it does kind of upset me, like still to this day, like you guys. Obviously I was a good athlete. Like I'm strong, I'm tall, I'm big, like I can move really well for being a bigger person. And like I just again I when I haven't seen most of them because I'm not close to there anymore. But like I'll be honest, like I said, there's times that I want to see them and be like, you need to give these kids an opportunity. Like just because their parents aren't paying like all this extra money for club sports and different things, like everybody needs an opportunity. Like these kids aren't going to know they're good. And like I said, that age is so important. Like so many of my friends just quit. Like if they didn't get, you know. And so I'm not like even like a participation medal type person, but somebody has to teach these kids how to move, how to like what their potential can be. You know, they can't just get shoved off the side because they're like bigger. Like big people make good athletes. You know, there's sports for big people for a reason. And so I always like when I coach and when I coached college track, even when I coach weightlifting, like I just love coaching because and I've coached track and weightlifting, which are pretty individual events, right? You can compare yourself to where you are today to where you were a year ago. Like everything's measurable. So it's obviously different than like football or basketball, things like that. But I like those sports because anybody can do it. Anyone can like see their progress, things like that. But again, it's I do think of those coaches sometimes and I'm like, you guys were not great coaches. Like, and I'm glad I didn't let them define how grew up and how I like turned into an adult because I would not be where I ended up. You know, I would be probably never did anything athletic and never gave myself an opportunity. And I just needed one really good person to believe in me. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, and my mom and dad were like the most supportive people ever. But, you know, you always say, you guys have to say that, you know,
Right.
like, your coach doesn't have to say that. So if your mom says, you're the best one out there, I'm like, yeah, okay, mom, you
Right.
know? So I think that's helped me become a better coach. Just kind of, you know, use what I don't want to do from coaching that I've learned and use what I do love from my coaches and be a good coach with that. So,
I can tell you, it's sometimes the best lessons you learn are the lessons of what not to do as a coach. So
yeah.
uh, I know what
Yeah.
that's like. So
Yeah, it's not the most fun experience to go through, but I mean, it's a lesson and if you can get through it, it it's going to make you stronger even if it sucked to learn a lesson.
You know what's interesting? I hate that word. That habit occurs all the way up the line.
Yeah.
It occurs at the young level. Fine, you say you could be a bigger person, you're not going to be good at certain things. But I'll hear from college coaches, and they'll say, "Well, this black kids are good at this, white kids are good at this, or black kids can't do this, and white kids can't play that position either." Or, "Hey, that person was drafted first round. I'm an undrafted free agent, so that I'm not even deserving of the reps." So those biases come in all the time. And at any point along the way, when you articulate, "Hey, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to work with you." But once you start slacking and wasting the time and talent, then I'm going to have to go work with someone else a little bit more because I'm pouring into you and you're not pouring back. But if you pour back, I'll give you even more. You take one step and I'll give you two. You take two steps, I'll give you four, 3 and 6, right? You take no steps, then I'm taking no steps. But if you can just pour a little bit in those folks and let them know that one, that they are enough as people and that, hey, there's some value to you and I'm going to believe in you and help you a little bit, a lot of them will just take off and do things that you're like, holy shit.
Right.
Look at that person, holy shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I have goosebumps. Like I have an athlete that my head coach had to beg her when I was coaching college track. I had to beg him to let her on the team. Like I knew her brother. I was like, just let her on the team. Like she wants to do track. Like what? It's taking my time, like no one else's. Like she's a thrower. I'm the throws coach. Like if I want to have her, I should be able to have her. And she comes in. She's not good at track. Just really not that good. And she has no confidence. And I'm thinking to myself, like, for whatever reason, I'm like, I just want her on the team. And if anything, if I can make her a more confident human being, like, that's a win in myself, you know? Just because excuse me, like we talked about, I coach D3 track. So it's like these athletes are coming in, they want to do the sport because they love it. They're not getting paid.
Nope.
Like, you know, so she comes in. Her goal is to make conference, like which in our conference that I coached in was a big deal, you know? So her 4th year, she makes conference. She tells me, "Hey coach, like I want to apply for pharmacy school, but I don't think I should." I'm like, "No, you're applying for pharmacy school. Like if you want to do it, you're doing it." And she's in like her 4th year of pharmacy school now.
Wow.
And so it's like I've learned, like you said, like with their people, you know, they're people first. And my coach is really good at that, like coaching people first before athletes. And I've learned that with coaching, like a lot of these athletes are very vulnerable. They don't have anybody to believe in them. They don't have like, I'm very, very aware that the support system that I was given, like with my family, is very not that common compared to what a lot of people have. So I've learned that like people find their support system in different ways, in different, you know, different groups of people, family, friend, or I guess friends, coaches, teachers, things like that. So I think that's why I love coaching too, and why I love like the relationship that you can have, because you are really like close with your coach. Like if you really believe in them and they believe in you, like it's a really, really awesome relationship. So
You
yeah,
know, taking that even a step further and being more real, there's plenty of other support systems, alcohol,
yeah,
bad friends, right? Destruction. And
yeah,
so you'll have athletes that want to be included, not in a gang, but hey, I got a group. So now I'm included. So I'm not alone. I'm not abandoned. So you'll run around with one group, but then you have someone else. Hey, man, come on over here. So I've seen troubled people, adults and kids, come in and then find a group of folks that are wanting to be healthier. All right, so now they're healthier, right? Now, hey, I want to be competitive. Oh, now they're competitive, and now they're simply more than they were
yeah,
mentally and physically. And whether they go to the Olympics or not, that is a huge, huge impact.
right,
And so that's my favorite PR all time in the gym. It's the mental PRs that people can do things. And so limiting factor, well, with teammates being one of the 6 things, it sounds like teammates for you growing up, your parents in a support group, that was not a limiting factor. That was more of a competitive advantage. That was a strength. But for a lot of folks, that's a huge limiting factor. Money, time, not
yeah,
interest, single parent. They're like, well, shit, I can't do all these things. So even if I have some potential, next thing you know, it gets missed,
yep,
right? Um, so 24 and 24, you're in Paris, but it takes more than just 2024 to get there.
yep,
All of 23, you're traveling the world, and a bunch of 24 too. So,
yeah.
you know, walk us through a couple things on the travel, and some places aren't great, right? Some places are kind of shitty. Some places are great, but then you also like walk us also through. Hey man, you will not believe who I met. Like I met this person. This person's badass, right? Or, like and it doesn't even have to be in weightlifting. So just chronologically, and I know you could probably spend 2 hours doing that, which we're not going to do, but just chronologically walk us through how you made it to Paris and what all that took and what's that like.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the qualification process started for me, it started in July of 22. And we had our national meet in Vegas, and that was kind of the meet that I needed to do well in to qualify for the meet that would have been World Championships, which would have been the first qualifier for the Olympics, which would have been in December of 22. I go to Vegas, I get very hurt. I can't finish the meet, and I spend basically 4 months not
Mm,
lifting.
mm,
I'm already behind. So I'm like kind of freaking out. It was it wasn't like a career-ending injury, but it was one of those ones that was going to take forever to heal. Like it wasn't, so I'm behind. I'm rehabbing, like we talked about the Iron Pit gym, like where I'm at. It's a great gym because we have so much different stuff. So I could do a lot of rehab, a lot of accessory work, things like that. So that's the beginning. I go to a meet in Atlanta that December. That's my actual first meet to qualify to make a team. I make the team for Pan Am's in April of 23. I go to Argentina. It's my first like big meet. My coach and I are so excited. It's my first qualifier for the Olympics. We have this like great attitude. We're so excited to travel. The city was amazing. It was like it reminded me a lot of like Breckenridge, like kind of like
mm.
it was beautiful, had some like really cute shops, things like that. It was on basically the foothills. It was in the foothills of like the Andes, so it had really beautiful water, and it was just the most amazing place. I
So,
go there. My number one goal basically for that meet was to get on stipend because I hadn't been on stipend yet. So I go there, we have the total, I hit the total, and then my coach asks me on my 6th lift, my 3rd clean and jerk, if you do this, you could beat Sarah, who's the girl that I needed to beat to make the Olympic team. And I was like, okay. And I was like, put it on. And I put it on and I made it and I won the meet. So that was a really good way to start for me to be like, you know what? You're not behind, you're caught up, everything's good.
Sarah
So
Robles, right?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So I basically had to be a 3-time Olympian, 2-time medalist to be on the team. So
Legend.
yeah, yeah, literally one of the best we'll ever see.
That's right.
So, and we honestly became good friends throughout the process, which is definitely makes things easier because I personally don't like to like not like the person I have to compete with. Like we weren't like sharing like secrets about weightlifting or anything, but we were friendly and nice to each other. So fast forward to that one, we have to go to Cuba in June. Um, Basically, we were excited because a lot of people haven't been to Cuba. It's not really a place that's like, come on, come one, come all. So we end up going to Cuba. It was super hot. Like, I'm not used to the heat, that it was there, but it was a beautiful, beautiful place. Like, I wish so badly that government would like open up and like make that available for everybody, because I think their country would be like probably have a lot more money, obviously. But it was the most beautiful water I've ever seen. The meet went really well. Um, I attempted a PR clean and jerk, and it was just a good trip. Um, that was kind of the beginning of like maybe feeling a little bit fatigued from the travel, because it was my Cuba wasn't that far, but that Argentina meet was really far. And so I'm starting to kind of feel a little like, dang, I'm not used to competing this much. That was also kind of the first part of my travel, of like this whole qualification process, that I realized like when I came home, like I love where I'm from. Like I love being from where I'm from. I love being from the United States. I love being from the Midwest. Like it's just I'm kind of realizing pretty quickly here that I'm really lucky to be from where I'm from. Just with kind of getting exposed to other people and other places in the world. Um, in Cuba, we had a cab driver that basically hung out with us for the whole day. He just waited for us and whatever we wanted to do. Tells us about his like life, his job. He actually picked up groceries while we were with him, and he dropped them off at home, so we saw where he lived, and I was like, I will never complain about anything ever again. So just like opened my eyes like really a lot to the rest of the world. Um, then a couple months after that, we went to Saudi Arabia. That was not my favorite place to go. It was super hot. That was where our world championship was. Obviously, being a woman, going over there, I couldn't wear what I normally wear. I couldn't wear shorts when it's hot out. I couldn't wear leggings. Basically had to wear like looser clothing, which I was all for following the rules. I wasn't gonna try and like try to not break. Not, I wasn't gonna try to break the rules in a place like that. But again, I was very like, I feel really lucky that I can wear shorts at home. So that meet was really good. I was supposed to maybe get fifth or sixth, and I did the best I could. And that was the first meet I really felt like I didn't belong there. I was like, these girls are really good. This is my first world championship. And I was like, why am I here? And I felt like pretty like out of place. But I don't know. I got second at the meet. I don't know how it happened, but I just like put my head down and just realized I had to, do the best I could. And I loaded again a PR clean and jerk at that meet. And it was a really good experience. But again, I was really excited to come home. A month after that, we went to Chile, which was Pan Am Games, which we weren't really going to do because technically it was not an Olympic qualifier, but it's a games experience. So it's very similar to what the Olympic Games will be like. There's a village, there's a cat, like a, all the athletes live in the same like village. We have little houses based on what country you're from, dining hall, gym right on the village. So it was a really awesome experience, like just to kind of get that like mini Olympics feel. And since that was the goal to make the Olympics, we thought it would be important to go to kind of feel that out. Like, what is that like? But that meet was really fun. That's probably one of my most favorite meets I've ever had. Any meet in South America, like South Americans are just very exciting, and like they're honestly pretty loud, like at meets and stuff. Like they yell a lot, and I love that. I love yelling. I don't yell, but I like when people yell at me. Like when I'm lifting, like cheer for me and stuff. So that meet was great. Then a month later, we turn around and we end up in Qatar, and that was the meet that I qualified for the Olympics in. So basically, going into that meet, I was training horrible. I was in tears every single day. I was like, this is so bad. Like, my body was starting to kind of break down. I was just exhausted from all the travel. I was going from time zone to time zone, all these things. And I said to myself before the meet, if you have a really good meet today, you can have an awesome Christmas and not be crabby, because it was right before Christmas. I said, if you have a bad meet, you're probably going to be crabby at Christmas and nobody's going to want to hang out with you. So obviously that's like easier said than done, but I did have a good meet. I qualified for the Olympics to that meet, and then I had a good Christmas. So, in
Can I pause you right there real
yes,
quick?
yes,
So let's just take a moment with Qatar,
yeah,
because that's kind of a big deal,
yeah,
right? So it's you, it's Sarah Robles,
Yep.
She's still the favorite. She's still the one to beat,
Yep.
right? But they only take one per weight class
Correct.
in weightlifting, and you went, and she didn't, and she was there. So
Yeah.
just talk about that back and forth. Talk about the podium.
Hmm.
So I already did all the research. I know a lot of the answers, but I want to hear it from you, and so the listeners can hear it as well, because this is a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So back up even a week, maybe a week before I competed in Qatar. I'm in Qatar already. Sarah and I are in the training hall. Our schedules kind of were opposite. So she would train one day, I would train the next day, she would train the next day, I would train the next day. Because as you get closer to meets, you kind of like take a little bit more time off. And it just happened to be like that. So the one day that she was training, I didn't have to train, but the people at the PT doctor that we brought was in the training hall and I needed to get worked on. So I go in the training hall. I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like I can watch Sarah train. That's not a big deal. And I get worked on, and I started watching her. I was like, I need to go now. Like I need to leave. I can't watch her train because she was training really well. And I just like it was not good for my headspace to sit and watch her hit these big lifts. So I removed myself from the situation, and it wasn't like I didn't freak out at her. I didn't like do anything. I was just like, bye, have a good day. Just like head out. So then a couple days later we compete. I warm up and I actually felt really good warming up. I was kind of like, this is weird. I haven't felt this good in a while. And so I'm at my platform and she's basically to my right and maybe 20 feet away from me. So not that far away from me. So I'm trying to just like put my blinders on. I'm trying not to focus, but at the same time I'm definitely like kind of like peeking over at her, 'cause like what does she have on the bar? So I'm trying not to watch.
Can't do that.
I know. So I end up basically I knew that to qualify for the Olympics I'd have to snatch 120 in a
Hmm.
meet. I've snatched 124, but I knew that I had to hit at least 120 in a meet so I could have a chance at clean and jerk. So I ended up snatching really well, made the 120. She still was snatching, so I knew if she had a better snatch, I'd have to basically hit a huge clean and jerk to try to beat her. She always has been better at snatching than me. I've always been better at clean and jerking than her. So basically, I try to keep up with her as much as I can in the snatch. And then after snatch, she didn't do as well as she wanted to in the snatch, and she was very upset. So she did her clean and jerks, but she didn't finish her clean and jerks. So I basically like I kind of knew I was like something's off with her, but I also tried to kind of focus on myself. And so she didn't finish the meet, and then I beat her at that meet, technically on the OQR, which is the Olympic qualifying ranking list. And so the second I got done, and I'm in general, I'm a very emotional person. I feel a lot of things, but I'm not a crier at meets. Like I see people that'll drop a PR and they'll immediately be sobbing. Like I don't know how people feel things that quickly. I'm very much like I drop a PR and I walk off. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like I just like I love lifting, but I don't need to hang out up there. But I immediately leave the stage and I just was like, I can't stop crying. I was like immediately crying. Sarah was crying. I didn't want her crying. I knew she was crying because she was sad. I'm crying because she's sad. I'm crying because I just qualified for the Olympics. It's just like all these things. So then after the meet, we get to they play the national anthem for our country because whoever wins, they play that national anthem. She's on the podium. I think she was in third, I believe. I'm in the first place spot, and she like held my hand, like reached up to hold my hand, and I basically just like pulled her up to me, and so we stood up there together, and she cried, and I was crying, and I was like, I can't do this right now. So it was like a very emotional, like it felt kind of like it sounds silly, but like it kind of felt like passing the torch, like type thing. Like she was like she's been the top athlete in our weight class for so long, and she's been the top athlete in weightlifting for so long. And I think she's kind of like been trying to figure out like, do I want to keep doing it? Like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And I feel like that was kind of like when she realized maybe she is on her way out, kind of. But like I said, we're good friends. Like we still chat quite often now to this day, but it was just a really special moment for both of us, I think. And I just like I said, this sport is awesome and like it's really, really hard. So it's hard to like basically hate the person you have to beat. It makes it like adds another level to something that you don't need. So I don't know. It was just a really, really special day and she was super sweet to me after and Then we ordered Domino's, which we didn't know Qatar had Domino's, but all the other places were closed. And so we're sitting there eating Domino's in Qatar, and then we had an 18-hour flight. So it was a very emotional roller coaster of a day, but it was really special people that I got to spend it with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, your sport is slow between reps, unlike other ones like basketball. You shoot, you either rebound or you're on your way back. In golf, you take a shot, then you walk for several minutes. You're thinking about your shot, so now you're in your head, and you're at these events where you're smashing people, and you're at the level where you're kind of the man, right? And you even mentioned that I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome here. Like, what am I doing here? And in the middle of my imposter syndrome, this is the people I hate. When you show up and they're like, man, I'm so scared of this test. I can't believe I'm gonna get an F in this physics test, and they walk out with an 99. So here's Mary with imposter syndrome, and she takes second, right?
Yeah.
It's like, motherfucker, right? I will smack you.
Yeah.
But in between that, like, in my book, I led off with "What is your why?" and it's about Matthias Steiner, the weightlifter out of Germany, and it's for his wife. And on this big day in the Olympics, he's missing some lifts in the warm up area. He's like in his head, and he's kind of fucked up, and he's got problems, right? Like, what is the process? Here, all this is to actually ask a question. You're approaching the bar in between lifts, and you talk about checklists.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you're an emotional person. How do you stay even keeled going through your checklist in between lifts? Because there's time to be in your head, and you have to have the process and discipline to get yourself out of your head so you can then execute something hard where the weight's over your face, right? Yeah. So what is your process going into the lift? And then the follow-up question is, what is your process post-lift, depending on a miss or a make?
Yeah. I think we talked about it a little bit already, but just for me, my thing that's helped me a lot is just my coach, honestly. Like having somebody that reminds me, he calls them receipts. So basically having receipts as to why that I can make a lift, So like thinking about how many times I've already hit this.
Mm-hmm.
I've hit it in scenarios in which I should not have made it. I've had it where I felt horrible, where I slept really bad, when I had other things in my life going on that didn't really make sense as to why I made it. So those are things kind of we talk about before the competition, like you've made it this time, you've made it this time, you've made it this time. So just thinking about those things set me up better. When it comes to the actual technical part of the lift, I like one thing, maybe like 1.5 like small things.
Right.
And for me, I like something in the very beginning. Like for me, I like to just think about getting set on my lift, because if I'm set, I'm strong enough that I'm probably never going to be the technical model that's going to be put in like a how-to weightlift book. Like I have really high strength levels. I do the best I can technically because it's going to be the most efficient. But I know that if I get really set, I probably have a good chance of making a lift. Also, I trust my coach that he's not going to put something on the bar that he doesn't think I can make.
Right.
So I think that's another thing, is just that relationship. And then the follow-up between a make or a miss, a lot of times, again, just following up from the last part I already said, I pretty much will know, because the lift, we take a lot of rest in between some lifts, but I know almost right away in that 2 seconds, 3 seconds, if something feels off, and I know how to correct it. And so sometimes it's just like a tiny little thing, and unfortunately, because it's a very it's a very technical event, so if you mess a little bit up, there's a chance you're gonna miss. So just trying to realize, okay, it was just a small thing I did. I don't have to freak out. It was just one little thing. If I keep my toes down, I'll be fine. So trying to just basically talk myself off a cliff in that scenario. And then in training, if I have a bad day, sometimes it's just move on, So because the more times we talked about taking a clean and jerk 17 times, that's not going to help you feel any better. It's probably going to make you feel worse. It's like when you're in high school and running those ladders and stuff in basketball, and you ran 15 of them and they say not fast enough, keep running. I'm like, well, now I'm really tired. How am I going to run it faster now?
Right.
So it's it's just being smart and like for me, I kind of have to turn my coach brain or my athlete brain off sometimes and like step into coach brain and be like, okay, fine, like I get it. And another thing my coach says that I have to remember a lot is the most important part of training today is to be able to train tomorrow. And there's times where in like training and practice and whatever, there's times where I do have to kind of hang it up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky. I don't know if it's lucky or if it's just like what I've worked on. I do compete very well. Like for the most part, I love competing. Like you have to love competing to do this. And so I typically do pretty well at meets. And that's something that I practice as well. I practice that in training. I practice that in track when I was an athlete. I practiced it for a really long time. So practicing real competition scenarios and training, I think helps in competitions as well.
That's awesome. And big fan of Will Fleming, and he's your coach. I've been to I trained with Dan Brown for a while, for a year, but I still went to one of Will Fleming's clinics and learned plenty. So that trust, that's going to be critical. A couple things there, at a highest level, we always say sports are games of inches. And so to your point, if everything's clicking and you miss by 1 inch, well, then hey, I'm going to have to make sure everything's clicking again and adjust this 1 inch, this 1 inch over. I don't need to freak out. So that's huge, not to beat yourself up. Two, one of the things we talk about is companies, people, sport, athletic teams, individuals, we talk about limiting factors, but the competitive advantage, that's the thing that you use to beat people. So you already talked about it twice. I'm very strong and very powerful. So if you're set and you're in good position, if you have some other mistakes along the way, you're so good at being strong and powerful, it's going to overcome some of those sins and you're still going to do well. On the flip side, you talk about Will Fleming. He's older, doesn't train as much, not nearly as strong as he was, but his technique is so strong. So if the other things are off, he's still going to be okay because he's going to leverage the fact that he has great technique. So for any athlete or coach, whatever those people are awesome at, you don't just neglect that because they're awesome at it. You still elevate it because that's how they beat people. You got to bring up their limiting factors because that's how they lose. But the beating people is how you amplify your competitive advantage. So those two components right there is awesome that you recognize it and can leverage that, and you can lean on Will to help with that. When you're over there, well, one, did you meet Lasha any chance? Because that motherfucker, 565 clean and jerk, whatever, 440 snatch.
Yeah,
That's
no, I haven't met him. I've seen him a handful of times. I actually saw him. So there was like carts for laundry or carts for something. They had little tiny carts, and he was riding one in the village, in the athlete village.
He's riding one.
Yeah, with a friend.
How big is that guy?
He's big, but like I have a skewed idea of big because like I'm used to like Ryan Krauser, Joe Kovacs, like those like big shot putter guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are big.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lasha is very big, but like he's like those guys.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, he's probably 6'6",
6'6" in the mid threes.
He's probably. I think he weighs like 175 or 180 kilos.
Yeah, there you go.
Like just under 400 pounds, probably. But
sure.
Yeah. So he's huge,
and he moves so well.
No, he really does. Like
that bar's right there. His speed down, even his belly doesn't get in the way. It doesn't matter. He's just outstanding.
Yeah, he is. He's really fun to watch.
Any other Olympians, different sports that you met and were like, oh man, this was cool?
Ever since I moved to Indiana, I'm like obsessed with basketball, which I loved basketball in high school, but ever since I moved here, it's like you can't escape it.
Nope.
So I go to so many games, but I met Anthony Edwards and Anthony Davis, and then I met Asia Wilson. And so that was cool because I've just been like really into basketball and WNBA and all that, especially with Caitlin Clark in Indy.
Sure.
Obviously Caitlin wasn't there, but she's on my bucket list to meet someday.
Me too.
Yeah. So those guys were my probably most famous people. I met a few track athletes that I haven't met before. I know most of the throwers because they're about my age, so I knew them in college. And then who else? I saw Simone Biles walk around the whole time, but I never like said hi to her because everyone was bothering her. I wasn't going to be like, hi, So Those were kind of the most like, I mean, I saw the whole basketball team. I really wanted to meet Tyrese Halliburton. I never saw him close. So Tyrese is from Oshkosh, where I used to live,
Mhm.
in Wisconsin, and I worked with his mom. So I I haven't reconnected with them since I moved here, but I'm like, come on, I need to like meet Tyrese again because last time I saw him, he was in high school. So he was one I wanted to meet like again, or I guess probably for the first time, but I didn't see him like enough to say hi. But yeah, it was a lot of it was just funny seeing them walk around, like everyone's just like the best at their sport and the best at what they do. And it's
Yeah.
like everybody's just really good at
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. When you surround yourself with that much talent and work ethic and
Yeah.
drive, it's pretty intoxicating and pretty
Yeah.
fun, right? I can see why you're like, yeah, I don't mind doing this. I'm making enough money to pay my
Yeah.
bills and I'm having fun doing it. So,
Yeah.
all gas, no brakes. Let's go, people.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially if I'm getting stronger, which I am. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
So who's your favorite Olympic athlete to watch?
In weightlifting?
Weightlifting and in general.
Mm.
So who's your favorite
Um,
weightlifter and who do you like to watch outside of weightlifting?
okay. So my favorite weightlifter to watch, probably the women from Ecuador.
Yeah.
Like the Dahomey sisters. Like they're they're just like the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen as athletes and people. Like they look like models, but they're also so strong. Like it's just like it doesn't make sense how someone can be blessed that much.
What are their names?
Yeah, Angela, I can't think. Oh, Nessie, but they're just so. And the Ecuadorian women are just so like the way they cheer and the way they act. Like they don't speak any English. I have an Ecuadorian woman in my weight class, and I just love her so much, but she doesn't speak any English, so we just kind of like smile. But
just talk louder.
yeah, yeah. So every once in a while we'll talk on Instagram and I have to like use Google Translate and stuff and who knows if what I'm actually trying to say is actually what I'm saying, but
Pass the pie.
yeah, yeah. So but I like those girls in weightlifting the most probably. Overall, I feel like so I did go when I was in Paris, I went to a rugby
Oh, I
match
love rugby.
which was against France, a
Mm.
men's match against France. So that was really cool. And then I went to beach volleyball, which of course we all like see beach volleyball so much on TV when we're watching the Olympics. And then that was they put a beach volleyball court right in front of the Eiffel Tower, so that was like it felt very surreal. Like I'm sitting here watching beach volleyball, which I grew up watching, and the Eiffel Tower is right there, and I'm in France, and I just have to compete. It was just, I think that was like the time that hit me. And then I did meet Snoop Dogg in Paris, and I taught him how to do weightlifting.
Dang.
So he came to our practice one day, and basically,
Is it that video that
yes,
you were in that?
yes. So
Those
I
you
have
guys?
I have like an hour long video with him in it because he came. Basically, he wanted to learn how to do I think jujitsu, swimming, track, weightlifting, and something else. And so he came to weightlifting, and they wanted one of us to teach him how to do it. And I was like, I'm doing it because I'm the oldest and I'm the only one that even knows any of his music. So I volunteered myself to do it. And my husband's also obsessed with Snoop Dogg. So I had Snoop Dogg do a freestyle video that I recorded and sent to my husband, and he was freaking out. But yeah,
Dang.
that was probably as much as I love competing, I didn't do as well as I wanted to do. I didn't feel the greatest. So obviously competing was a highlight of my Olympic experience, but spending that like a little bit with Snoop Dogg was actually like really amazing.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That dude's
Yeah.
just super cool.
Yeah.
When you're Snoop Dogg, you can just walk around and be like,
You
I
walk
want to learn
around.
how to weightlifters by the best weightlifter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
do
that was
you listen to when you train?
Oh gosh. Well, my teammates hate me for it, but I listen to just about everything. Sometimes I like Christmas music. Sometimes I like normal like music like on the radio. I Everyone thinks I'm like really chaotic because sometimes I'll put like the Macarena on or Cotton Eye Joe or something. And so I always am the last one that gets to be the DJ because everyone like thinks I'm really weird, which I am.
That's
But
all right.
I just it depends, Sometimes I want to listen to Taylor Swift and sometimes I want to listen to like really hard rap. So it's just kind of what mood I'm in. And actually, what we've been doing lately is we've been putting on like Chris Stapleton radio, like on Spotify, because sometimes what happens when we pick too exciting of music, we all lift like too hard, too heavy. Like, so we have to listen to something a little bit more like just remember this is just a Tuesday. Like we have to lift heavy the rest of the week. Let's just listen to something that's a little bit more calming. So yeah.
August 1st, he'll be here.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton.
I know. I have it on my list. I want to do something.
Awesome.
I want to go. Yeah, I want to go.
I have tickets. I'll take my wife.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be
I won't
fun.
be buying tickets.
Yeah.
Bucket list place to go with your husband,
Yeah.
and you guys can't have been there yet.
Okay, so I do want to go to Greece.
Okay.
I want to do that. I also, this is funny, so I want to get courtside tickets for something. And I just filled out like some paperwork, like the stuff for you to tell like that's something I really want to do. And I have courtside tickets on Saturday for the Butler basketball game.
Oh,
so,
sweet.
I know. So I'm going to my first game at Butler, and everyone says it's like a great time. And
Great time. Great place.
someone I know has tickets, and they gave them to me courtside. So I'm all excited.
My wife's youngest, good chance she'll be there because
Nice.
she goes to school there. And shout out Dan Wanger. He was our one of our podcasts. He's a strength coach, and he's now the new strength coach of Butler.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited.
Favorite sports movie?
Probably Coach Carter or The Blind Side.
The actor in The Blind Side,
Yeah.
Quentin.
Okay.
The book I collaborated on as co-author, he's one of the co-authors.
Oh, wow.
Talks about
That's
his
good.
story.
That's
It's all
really
about resilience. And this guy, he's getting evicted the day he gets the final call saying, "Hey, you got the deal for The Blind Side."
Oh, wow.
So he and his brother were living together, broke as shit, and so it's totally rags to riches.
Yeah.
And so he gets that job, he gets that gig with that movie, and things change.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Super cool. Favorite sport to participate in, and then favorite sport to watch. I have some follow-up questions with this one.
I guess like favorite sport to participate in like right now or like in general, like
Sure.
as growing up and all that.
You tell me.
I mean, I would say weightlifting right now, but I do like to like sometimes we go play basketball, like
Yeah.
play horse and
It's fun.
stuff like that. We played a lot of basketball in Paris actually because we had a basketball hoop right by us.
And if you're sitting watching sports on TV,
Oh, probably basketball or football. It depends on the season. We watch a lot of football at our house and a lot of basketball.
yeah. Shout out my guys, Ohio State from last night, by the way.
We had a big party last night and watch.
Yeah. Yep.
Who Ohio State and Notre Dame? Were you happy? Were you not happy?
I didn't care. Like I joked. I was like, I want Ohio State to win because one of my very best teammates and best friends on the team is a huge Ohio State fan. But I said, but I'm Catholic, so I want Notre Dame. So I was like, but no, I think I wanted Notre Dame or Ohio State to win just because of Big Ten. Like I grew up as a Badger fan.
Yeah.
I'm an IU fan now, so it's like I think I chose Big Ten.
I feel you too. I'm Catholic. My whole family is. Yeah. But Notre Dame turned down my wife and my daughter. So, pass. And plus, I'm born and raised in Ohio.
Yeah.
With the sports, the throwing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite throw? Was it hammer? Was it discus? Was it shot? What was it? Wait for distance.
It was probably the discus.
Okay.
Just because even on your best day in the discus and your best day in the shot put, the discus is going farther because it has to. And it's just like a really beautiful event. Like it's like you have to be graceful and like move well to do it. And shot put like is a little bit more like you're just like a madman, like aggressive and crazy. So
shot is I agree, and discus is probably more so. But when you watch those big boys or big girls swinging the hammer, and they are just it's hundreds of miles of torque, right? And if you're outside that cage and they hit you with that hammer, you're dead, right? So they're right. So seeing them spin out of control, all that power, and then they just release and the thing goes straight. I was like, holy shit, man, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. I did love the hammer. I wish I would have been better at it. It's hard to be really good at everything.
Oh yeah.
Because So I mean, I made it to nationals in the hammer, but I was never like super good at it. My coach was an Olympian in the hammer, so we didn't really get to get out of it no matter what. So
Right.
yeah,
And Will Fleming, that was his sport, right? Didn't he throw hammer
yeah,
for IU?
yeah. He was a really good hammer thrower.
Shout out Jim Beebe for remembering that from back in 2014 when I went to his seminar.
Nice.
How big is Wolf? I mean,
Not big.
How big is he?
Pretty slight.
He's like maybe 5'11", 5'10".
I've
He's like a
seen
little
him in
bit,
person
maybe
before.
just a little bit taller than me.
But he's lean.
He's very
Yeah.
lean now. He was really big, like back when he threw. Like
Sure.
he had a really thick neck, like just like a big, like I don't know how much he weighed then, but he definitely does not look like that now.
There's no
Well,
weight,
yeah.
there's no weight classes in throwing,
One of the
No,
female,
he had to bulk up for throwing.
for sure.
I can't think of the what's her name, but she's an Olympian thrower for U.S. She trains out of like Texas.
Uh-huh.
I can't think of. She's like tall and super skinny,
Oh yeah,
and she just
he
Yeah,
slings it.
Yeah, slings it.
There's a lot of women now, like it's not necessarily like you're not necessarily going to see a lot of really, really big people anymore on the women's side. The implements are not heavy
Right.
for the women, and they never get heavier. So basically starting in like middle school to the Olympics, it doesn't get heavier. So if you move well and you're strong enough, they're actually what you want to be is you want to be tall.
Yes.
Like, because you want long levers, but for
Yes.
the most part, you're not seeing really big people anymore do it on
Gotcha.
the women's side, at least.
You got a
I
favorite?
saw that.
Sorry.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, it
Yeah.
just kind of threw me for a loop because I was expecting kind of a.
Yeah,
I'm used to throwers being bigger people, and
yeah,
she's super tall and skinny. I was like, well,
yeah.
she's throwing it. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? Gosh, I like.
I saw what you wrote here too.
I like. I don't even remember what I wrote now, but I definitely like romantic comedy books. I don't like. I'm not. I feel like my whole life has been not my whole life, but like everything I do has to be super serious, like with
Mhm.
weightlifting and like. So I don't really love books to sit down and enjoy that are like self-help or like serious books. I like to kind of read for like more of entertainment. So I like mindless books that are going to make me feel better, especially when I'm feeling like stressed or something like that. So those are the kind of books that I like to read if I read.
Gotcha. Do you have a favorite superhero or villain? It could be fiction or nonfiction.
I guess maybe just Superwoman, and other than that, I'm not really like a superhero villain.
Sure.
I don't really watch movies like that or anything. I never really got into that stuff, so I'm not really sure.
Gotcha.
Maybe, yeah, that's probably Superwoman, probably.
All right.
I used her for Halloween one year in college, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. How about your favorite lift?
Probably clean and jerk, because I know even on like a rough day, I'm gonna feel like I can do it. Or back squat, actually. 'Cause I back squat well, so probably that one.
This is a question I meant to ask earlier, but it's for context. And I talk to people about this, and they'll say, I need to work on my clean and jerk, and I'll say, well, how much do you do?
Yeah.
And let's just say it's kilos, and let's say it's 100.
Yeah.
Easy number. And they'll say it's 220 pounds. I say, okay, so you clean and jerk 100. What do you front squat? And it'll be like 105, 110.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And what do you back squat? 120, 125. And what do you deadlift? Oh, like 135, 140. And I was like, and they'll say, I go, what do you think you need to work on? And they'll say, oh, my technique. I'm like, buddy, you squeezed every bit out of your technique. You're at like a 95% efficiency.
Yeah.
Do not even bother clean and jerking for a few more months, for months, 6, 8, 12 months. You can do it for fun and maintain it. But let's add some more weight to your back squat and front squat because you're too weak at this point because you maxed out your efficiency. So the question is, if you're roughly a mid-3, call it 350, say mid-3 clean and jerk, what do you front squat, back squat, and deadlift?
I know there's like actual percentages that people use. I don't know exactly what they are off the top of my head, but
Sure. But for you?
For me, okay, so my front squat, I don't know anything in pounds anymore.
You can tell me in kilos.
Okay, so my best clean is 166 kilos. My best front squat is 207. My best back squat
That's
is
440, over 440.
back squat is 240. So 529, I
Yeah,
think.
5. Yeah, gotcha.
And then my best deadlift, which I never ever like max because
Don't need to.
it's one of those things like you talked about, like risk versus reward and
Sure.
whatever. I've done maybe like 220 for a triple.
Gotcha.
Like, and that would be where because it's like one of those things, like you said, it's,
Don't need to.
yeah, you don't, it's a risk at that point, like
Yeah.
if I can pull 240 and I can only clean 165, like
You're
I
good.
need to just, so yeah, I think I always say, like, especially if you have to jerk it after for my sport, like you need to have a pretty big, like, you need to have some extra like strength saved up, because if you have that much that you used on your clean, you're not jerking it,
Right.
and
Right.
we have to do both.
So
So
from this percentage, you're actually up almost 100 pounds front squat over your clean, and then almost an additional 100 on your back squat. So now you have room to grow
yeah,
on your technique, and then you'll have the capacity to finish the lift
yeah,
with the jerk, and that's the point, right?
right.
That's not your limiting factor. So then you're good to go there.
You also need to drink a lot more than your clean, or else you're probably not gonna.
Right, the jerk. I remember Dan telling me that long time ago that your jerk must always lead your clean as well, because you don't want to get there and not have it.
Yeah.
I like how you said you like old school gyms. They can be old and rusty. I like gyms like that. So I'm like, oh, you should come see mine. It's 10,000 square feet, and it's like 75-year-old building. So
That's what we like to hear. Yeah, I like stuff like that.
it'd be fun. Do you have a quote or anything?
I have one that it's actually, I have a tattoo of it. It says, "What feels like the end is often just the beginning," and that's kind of what I've been, living by since, especially after the Olympics, is just, you think your life is over after you qualify for the Olympics, and it's like, this is a huge deal. I just did something that so few people do. It's like, now what? But it really has opened a lot of doors for me, and the sport's opened a lot of doors for me, and with coaching, and I've just did my first 2 seminars that all by myself, and so just like different things that I've been kind of exposed to and kind of, I guess, blessed with, that I probably wouldn't have done. And so I'm just trying to lean into that and trying to figure out what's next, but also realize that there's actually a lot of things that can happen even from something that I thought would be, the end of everything. So
For sure.
yeah.
Where can people find you?
Primarily Instagram. My Instagram is my name, so Mary Tyson Lappen. Pretty easy. So that's where I see mostly every message that I'll get. I have Facebook and stuff, but it's like I don't really go on there a whole lot. But I'm pretty active on Instagram, so that would be a good way for people to reach out or find me.
Cool. So for those that are following along at home, that's how you can get a hold of Mary. We want to thank her for being on the show. Again, with Athlete Builder, you can email us info@athlete-builder.com. Book is out there. And this will say not for resale because it's a prototype, but this is the planner that goes along with the book. The final edits were submitted last week, so it should be done this week and then available. So that will be out soon as well. Mary, Lucas, thanks for being on today. Another good time. I was walking downstairs. I was like, just gonna grab me my drink and I'm gonna sit back and have a good time because this is gonna be fun. Talking about moving weight and doing it at a high level. I'm like, this is gonna be great. So had a great time, man. Loved having you on, Mary, and I hope we cross paths again real soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
Hey guys.